Well, here it is.
Welcome. We are back. You are back. It is the last day of April. I'm so excited. So we can finally move the frick on to whatever May is going to be.
Why would you want to move on from April?
I'm just being silly.
Wasn't that just so nice?
It was nice.
It's so nice to be exactly on the last day of April where we are.
I'm just being silly because that's my sense of humor.
Yeah, of course. I'm just playing with you. Back.
I know you are.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, April 30th. You ready? It's our last day to remind us every month has a theme. That's not from me, that's from Ryan. And I always say Ryan, but like Stephen Hanselman, I don't know who this person is, but he's the co-author of this
Stephen,
book.
thank you as well.
Stephen, I'm always saying Ryan, but like also Stephen. April's theme was unbiased thought. I don't even know what May's theme is yet. I haven't looked at that page of the book. So we're going to find that out tomorrow. For today, we are going to bask in our unbiased thought as we think about the topic, what is in keeping with your character? What is in keeping with your character?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Shall I dive into Epictetus?
Please.
Okay. Epictetus has a quote for us today. This is like a little paragraph, so bear with me. Just as what is considered rational or irrational differs for each person, in the same way what is good or evil and useful or useless differs for each person. This is why we need education, so that we might learn how to adjust our preconceived notions of the rational and irrational in harmony with nature. In sorting this out, we don't simply rely on our estimate of the value of external things, but also apply the rule of what is in keeping with one's character.
That's so cool. It made me think of this, like, you know how, like, a lot of our education system is kind of like, well, once you're done with the school, you're done learning, right? You learn in school. And when you were reading this, I saw this like, no, what you're learning in school is just the first iteration of your point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're done with school and you go into life, your point of views are not correct. They're just your point of views. And then the rest of the life is there to see and learn that these other people have these other point of views, and somehow we need to work together. And that's when we actually learn that what we've learned back in the school is just this one way of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
It's that first iteration. No wonder by year 25 we haven't seen everything is new. Of course it's all new because that's the first time we're going around that circle, right, or something, right? So like now the following iterations in life, now all of a sudden, like, well, I thought it was like this, but this guy thinks it's like that. The same thing, right? So now I have to unlearn the idea that I'm correct because I went through a school that taught me this information. They were just teaching you the information of one point of view. But now other people have different point of views, different understandings, and now it's this mishmash of where we actually are. I really like that. Yeah, that's fun.
I'm going to go sentence by sentence through here, if that's okay with you.
Let's do it.
Okay, so his first sentence is saying that we all have different definitions for things, kind of what you're saying. We all have the different point of view on things. And then he says, this is why we need education, so that we might learn how to adjust our preconceived notions of the rational and irrational in harmony with nature. So he's saying we actually need to be educated on the definitions of these things and be brought back into harmony, because there is an objective rational and irrational. That's not like an opinion. Like,
yes.
You can go through life having an opinion on it or having some definition that's only yours, but life will have a way of telling you that you have defined the word incorrectly based on the outcomes of what happens in your life. Then he says, in sorting this out, we don't simply rely on our estimate of the value of external things, but also apply the rule of what is in keeping with one's character. Okay, so I get the first part of this. Like, we don't rely on the definition we learned in school. We don't rely on just like however we happen to wake up in the morning and think that this is how it is.
Yeah.
We actually have to go investigate that to come to the definition that aligns with nature, with how life actually is, because then I'm positioned the best way as a player in the whole game.
And it is the way you think it is also. You know what I mean? It's not the only way it is. So it's like not, when you were saying that, I'm like, don't dismiss your own thinking and thinking process. No, it is like that, but the way, it's just the one, that's your way. And you have to acknowledge that there are other ways.
Sure. I mean, I think for something like rational or irrational, there is there's an objective definition for that. And so, and like they're also saying kind of good and evil, like there is some sort of objectivity to it. It's not this completely subjective thing.
It is objective because each person has their own definition of good or bad.
Well, that's why I'm saying there is an objective version of it. So each person would be a subjective person because they're the subject who has it. But there is an objective thing with good and evil in the sense of like if you study your outcomes, like if you have a flawed belief system about what good and evil is, and now you go out into the world and you start behaving according to that belief system, life will have a way of knocking you around and proving you wrong in the end. Maybe you'll get away with things for a little while, but eventually it will come to light that like this is indisputably good and this is indisputably evil. And the only people who think that evil thing is good are the people who are also confused the same way that you were. That's how I'm taking this. Like I'm taking him as saying
I can see this on a scale.
Okay.
Like I can see it on a smaller scale. But to apply this to the whole thing, that's where I'm having kind of, that's where I'm having, because I'm even just having issue with the idea of like something is bad. Like that's already
he's saying good or evil. He's not saying good and bad.
Right, but good or evil is also subjective, right? All of it is. I understand someone might say, like, murder is absolutely objectively a bad thing. Yes, but if you really think about it, like maybe like okay, like killing an animal, is it a bad thing? Well, yes, it's 100%. But what if the animal is suffering? Oh well, no, it's not a bad thing.
Or what if the animal is a pest in
your
house?
Or what if so now it's not. So now it's like, well. This is what I'm saying.
Or what if you need to eat the animal for food?
Right, now it's like, what is bad? Is bad killing, or bad is not killing is good? So now it's
nuanced.
It becomes
it's like a nuanced thing, and so he's giving us a lot here because he's talking about rational and irrational, which I think is like its own full talk of like what that actually means. Good or evil is its own full thing, and then he says useful or useless. And that's also its own full thing. And so...
And both of these are really kind of opposites to each other.
Yes.
Therefore, they're kind of like... If this book is teaching us anything, is teaching us that it's not that way and it's not that way. It's not the opposites. You know what I mean? It's something... It's some sort of a mishmash of some sort of both ways. Both things have to be somehow part of it. Not necessarily like reject all the bad and accept all the good. Like that's.
I mean, I think the Stoics would say like you are attempting to be 100% rational, 100% good, and 100% useful. I don't think that they would look at irrational, evil, or useless as, hey, we want some of that in the mix. These guys seem like pretty rigorous in terms of like designing their lives around like, let's optimize this completely 100%.
Right, but when they say, I want to optimize this 100%, they might be there to their optimization, they might be hurting others.
Well,
Right.
well, this is why they have these moralities in there of good and evil, like where they actually do a lot of thinking about this.
Right.
And so, like, and they're also recognizing the small place that each of us has in a much larger story, and they're always like, you know, encouraging us to see that. So, I don't know, like, I think that in the quest of optimization, as far as the Stoics are concerned, it is a beneficial thing for the entire system of life, for one person to go down the Stoic route.
Sure. Yeah. I understand what they're saying. There's just one little thing that I'm kind of doesn't sit well. It's these opposites, right? Versus, and then in different text in this book, they're saying, hey, it's not the way you think, right? It's not this positive thing. It's not this negative thing. It's just this more like this is just what happened type of, like, it's just is, right?
Well, they're trying to get, so what they're trying to get you to do there is to stop attributing good and evil to things that are not in fact good or evil. That's what they're trying to do with that.
Right,
so they're
right,
saying you're mistaken
Sure.
about what you think good is and what you think evil is.
Sure.
This situation, in fact, is neither of those. Actually, most situations are neither of those, but my emotional reaction is coming out to say, I fucking hate this, or I love this, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's trying to get you to see good for what it is, evil for what it is, rationality for what it is, and to organize your life around that.
Sure, but if you see goodness for what it is, you no longer can call it goodness. It's just isness. It just happens. This person helped that person. Is that a good thing? Well, no. It's just they helped each other. I saw it. And then this person is beating up this person. I say, well, that's really bad. Well, no, it's not bad. That's just happened, right?
And I don't
so
know
it's
if
like,
they would even, I don't even know if they would suggest to judge external things as good or evil. I'm taking good or evil more as an internal compass for how do I behave. So, and I'm not sure about this actually, like, I'm not that plugged into this philosophy at this point.
No.
But I know, I do see what you're saying. Like, they would say that's that's neither good nor evil. It just is, and you are the one who's putting that label on it.
Yes. Thank you.
It is nuanced. Like, this is super nuanced because it's like.
And so when then he's then putting the labels on some of these things, and saying recognize which one is good and evil, and don't do the evil and do the good. But I'm like, well, but what is good and bad for whom? Each person has a different measuring,
and that's
of
what
what's
he's saying in
so
here.
it's
And
like,
then he's saying that's why we need education.
Education.
So that we can sort all of this out.
Yes.
The trouble is that
sure.
this quote says we need education, but then it doesn't go the next step that says, and here's how you educate yourself on rationality, here's how you educate yourself on good versus evil, and here's how you educate yourself on usefulness.
Yeah, it's not how to, it's just
do. Which I know I've had the complaint on several of the daily entries in here.
Yeah.
Even though some of the other days answer the how question, sometimes the days are more just conceptual in nature.
And in some way we do because we doing this, for example, right? So we're
trying to figure it out.
We are all trying to figure it out.
Dude, I swear, every time the quote is Epictetus, I
want to strangle it.
No, I love Epictetus. But every time the quote is Epictetus, I'm like, this is gonna be some shit I don't understand.
Yeah, but and I'm also not really. I'm looking at this rationally. Like, I'm not looking at it like, oh, these guys knew everything and we just need to learn from it. No, I'm looking at it as like, wait, what are you talking about, dude? No, come on. Like, I can, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not taking it as like, this is how it's done.
Well, that is philosophy.
I can also look at this and be like, well, no, that doesn't sit well, and it's okay.
Yeah, and that's what philosophy is all about, you know?
Yeah.
Also, we have to keep in mind that every single quote that we're reading is
it's
pulled
2,000 years ago, or 2,000 years old. Or
sure, but it's also pulled out of a much bigger text.
And And so it's kind of like, in what context did he set all of that?
Right. What was before this?
For
What was
sure.
after this? You know.
Yeah.
And I haven't read. The only thing I've read from here is Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. So
Me too, yeah.
Epictetus has what are called discourses. And then Seneca has some plays, and I don't know what else Seneca has in here, but I haven't read those texts.
Yeah, me either. Okay.
Okay. Here's what Ryan Holiday says. Ryan Holiday / Stephen Hanselman. You're welcome.
They're getting popular now because of this.
It is easy to get wrapped up in our own opinions of things. It's as if we're adhering to invisible scripts, following instructions or patterns we don't even understand. The more you question these scripts and the more you subject them to the rigorous test of your education, the more you'll be your own compass. You'll have convictions and thoughts that are your own and belong to no one else. Character is a powerful defense in a world that would love to be able to seduce you, buy you, tempt you, and change you. If you know what you believe and why you believe it, you'll avoid poisonous relationships, toxic jobs, fair weather friends, and any number of ills that afflict people who haven't thought through their deepest concerns. That's your education. That's why you do this work.
Yeah, so education is not necessarily that's kind of what I was talking about. Like, the education is not necessarily just the school thing. Like a lot of us look at it like, oh, what's education? Well, that's the school thing. You go to school and you learn there, and then you get a job, and then you're gonna learn some stuff on the job, and you're gonna learn some other things from behavior of others or just experiences. But that life is no longer about the learning. It's now about this other thing, the living it and working and taking care of all these things, right? And it's like, no, like, stop. No, the entire time till the end of the days, the last day in your life, you're learning things. And if you think that you're not learning, well, you need to be learning to realize this, that you are actually learning. So therefore, why not actually, like, if this time is supposed to be also about learning, am I learning? Am I really actually, doing that? Or am I looking at life as like, no, I've already know everything, right? So I feel like the school, that's what I was saying, like, the school gives you this first iteration, the first look, everything in school you find out for the first time. You're like, what? This is what it is? This is how life is? And that's when you say, this is how life is. I learned it, right? And then you go out there 10 years later and you say, oh, life is also like this, not just like that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. Like, and a lot of people who say, well, school ended and I'm done learning. Well, then now you are allowing yourself to be rigorous, to not change this belief, because that's how you understand the world. And you're saying, I learned it in school, and you now are in an argument of this is how it is. And this guy's saying, no, it's like this. And actually, it's both ways, but they don't want to see it, or they don't see it. Because they have believed that what they already learned is the way it is. It's not like that. You just saw it the first time around, mofo. Yeah, it's so funny, man. But good to realize, for sure. Yeah, good, goody.
Alrighty, that's April. We just did it.
Oh yeah, April done.
Nice.
Very cool.
All right, Daily Stoics. We'll see you here tomorrow.